Let me share with you 3 of my best all-time driver videos. You know, driving doesn't have to be that complicated, especially when you get some of the secrets that I'm going to share with you here. Let's go and get started. I consider driver to be one of my strong suits. I usually hit the big stick pretty well, and I'm going to give you in this video the things that I think about when I'm hitting driver. So I'm going to go through the keys that are in my mind, the visualizations that I have, the feels that I have when I'm going to hit it. Well, the way I like to visualize this, first and foremost, is for power, I want to make sure that I get a good shoulder turn. So I don't really mind if I make a short backswing, as long as my hips and my shoulders rotate, and I really want to feel like this left shoulder gets underneath my chin so that I'm getting at least 90 degrees, then I'm going to have power. So for example, if I swing to here with a big shoulder turn, but a short backswing, I'm still going to be able to have a lot of power. If I swing way back here, long backswing, but not very much shoulder turn, I'm not going to have much power. So for me, I really try to have this key. To start my swing, I get a little weight shift to the right. I start feeling like I'm putting some pressure into my right foot almost before I even swing at all. That kind of starts my backswing. And then I free up my hips. I want my feet to be kind of loose on the ground. My heels should be moving as I'm going back. And I just get that left shoulder under my chin. That way I'm really wound up. And I don't really mind if the backswing is here or longer. That's the way you're going to have the power from your body doing that. Most players are a little tight. The key is the left foot. I need to lift that heel slightly to let my hips turn. That allows me to get my shoulder under there. But that's the first thing I'll focus on. If I lose any distance at all, that's what I'm going to. Number 2, here's how I visualize my shot shapes. Whenever I'm about halfway in the downswing, when I get this club parallel to the ground, that's what I call last parallel. And from here, I visualize in my swing this butt end of the club, these last 2 inches, and how my fingers hold that. Now when I get to here, I'm imagining that this butt end of the club actually turns back up. So look how it's low almost down here by my thigh right here. And then from there it's going to turn back up, and that's going to whip the club on through. So it's that turning up action. If you kind of imagine me swinging this with my hand, I'm going to have it low, and then I'm going to pull up and around on it and watch that club just kind of fly on through there. That's what I want to feel like I'm doing when I make a swing. So I'm visualizing that last parallel, these last couple fingers on my hand. I'm turning my body up and in and allowing that club to whip through contact, get a lot of speed through there, and that great extension. So if I do this correctly, I open my hips, my shoulders, and I feel a lot of pressure in these last couple fingers, and that gets the club turning back up and in, and the club just flies down the fairway. It feels like it's flying out of my arms. Now, if I want to hit a draw, I just angle this a little bit different. So here would be a straight shot, or relatively straight. This is pointing toward the target line. If I want to hit a draw, I just feel like I'm turning that club up and in as I'm going that way. So I'm changing if you imagine it being kind of a swing plane, I'm just tilting that swing plane this way. And as I turn that grip up and in, I let the face go ahead and rotate on over. So now you can see with the draw, again, I'm just focusing on this part of the club. I'm turning it up and it's just whipping the club out to the right. And I feel like the momentum of the face is just going to turn on over as this club kind of rolls over in my hands. It's very simple there. If I want to hit a straighter one, I'm going to come here, turn it up and in, and it's going to be a more square face. And if I want to hit a bit of a fade, I come here, it's a little bit more outside. I turn this grip back up and in, so I've shifted the plane this way, and the face stays a little bit more open like this. So it doesn't roll on over that direction, it stays a little bit more open. So I'm swinging left, and the face is slightly more this way as I'm swinging through there. That's the visualization that I have. And then finally, the last key for me is finish off the swing. This is one of those where if I quit on the swing and I have short arms and I kind of keep my shoulders down, it's not going to be very good. I want to feel like I'm really getting that club to whip through contact, really extend, and then my right shoulder finishes all the way to the target as I'm coming through there. Same thing with a backswing. If we want to have rotation in the downswing, I've got to move the feet. So notice how my right heel is well up off the ground. I've even let my left foot rotate outward slightly, so now it's facing more to the target. If you want to start with it toward the target, that's completely fine too. So really it's those 3 key checkpoints. Number 1, if I'm not hitting it very far, I let my feet and hips move, and I get that shoulder under my chin. Doesn't matter how far back this goes, as long as the body turns, that's going to get you loaded up really nice for some great power. Number 2, I control my shot shape and the momentum of the club. Big thing is momentum by the butt end of this club. If you don't have the momentum of the club whipping through contact and releasing, it's not going to work. So I focus in on this part of the club, getting it low, and letting it release this way, or that swing plane this direction for a draw, here for a straight shot, and then there for a fade. Finally, I finish my swing for it to be really nice and straight. Let me go ahead and hit a nice draw. That's what most players want to do. So I'm going to make a good shoulder turn. I'm going to have it here, turn the button of the club up and in to go out that way. Really let that face release, and I'm going to finish my follow through to be nice and consistent. See how we do. There we go. Hit that one nice and hard. Really felt like I finished my backswing and I finished my follow through, and then I just relied on the momentum of the club to release that and let the club snap right on through there. Now I bet you want that perfectly consistent ball flight. That ball that starts just a hair right of the target and draws back on cue. It never fades. It never leaves it way out to the right. Well, the problem I see is a lot of golfers try to hit that draw and they set up a little bit something like this and they make this kind of a swing when they attempt to hit a draw. Now I tried to draw that, but that ball faded a little bit, started left and faded on me. Well, I had the intention of drawing it, but my body, from my feet all the way to my grip, was dead wrong to be able to hit that shot. Let's start with the feet, and this is something that's very consistent that I see a lot of players struggle with, is the body's in a bad position to hit a draw, and they're trying, the intention is to hit a draw. So it just doesn't work. When your body's lined up a certain way, it's going to be almost impossible to get that ball to turn over from right to left. Let's start from the ground up. Now, if I want to hit a draw, what I'd love to do is get my feet a little bit out to the right. That's going to promote me swinging a little bit more inside out. Now, on that first swing, my feet were lined up square. So no matter how bad I want to swing from the inside out, I'm making it harder on myself. I'm really making it difficult. So let's get it just a hair to the right of my target. I have this stick on the ground lined up toward the orange flag in the distance there, and I'm just going to be a hair to the right of it. I'm going to swing down my feet. I'm going to feel like that ball starts down my feet line and then draws back toward that target. Now the second thing, here's a big mistake I see people make, is they want to get their weight shift to the right, and they start letting that knee kind of pop out. And when that knee pops out, all of a sudden the hips start to slide. I know you know what I'm talking about here. Everybody's done this. The hips start to slide, the upper body gets back, and I'm in the perfect position to swing over the top no matter how hard I try to swing from the inside. So if I want to hit that nice draw and be consistent, I'm going to tuck that knee in just about an inch. That gets my hips tilted a little bit and my body tilted a little bit, which allows me to swing more from the inside and to release that. So if I'm going to hit a draw, I need to swing slightly to the inside out or to the right, and I need to be set up in a way to where this club face naturally wants to release and turn on over to get that thing to turn over that way. So when I tuck my knee in, all of a sudden that starts to get my body tilted back like this. And do a quick test for me. If you tilt your body, let's really get exaggerated with this. I'm going to tuck that knee in a bunch. I'm going to get my body way tilted to the right. There's no direction I could swing other than way inside out with this kind of body alignment. If I do the opposite, my hips bump this way, my body gets tilted to the left, there's no direction I can swing other than over the top like that. So I'm trying to preset my right knee in a way that promotes a draw type path. So I tuck that in. Feet are a little bit to the right. From there, I want my hips to be a little tilted. I don't want my hips to be level straight up and down. I actually want my hips to be tilted. So my hips are going to bump forward, and I'm going to feel like my right hip, because that knee's kicking forward, is a little lower than my left hip. It's just very slight, only a slight amount. And when I do that, you'll also notice the shaft starts to point a little bit more to the right. I'm exaggerating here for camera so you can see it, but just a little bit goes a long way. That's also going to promote that draw swing path. Next, we'll go up to the upper body. I want to have my upper body, like we just talked about, I'm going to feel like my nose is behind my belt buckle. And as this bumps forward, my upper body is tilted back to where now my nose is behind the golf ball. That also tilts my shoulders to the right a little bit. And my right shoulder gets quite a bit lower than my left shoulder. So if I set up that way, that's going to help me to be in a great position to hit that draw. Now here's one thing that almost everybody gets wrong. So many players that I see want to hit a draw, but they set up with their elbow like this. And what I mean is that right elbow is sticking out toward the camera here. If I drew a line out of that, it'd be going this way. I want to have that elbow tucked in. So if I stuck a line, it'd be hitting me in my right pant pocket, my right hip here. And that's going to get that arm tucked in. And watch what happens when I do that. when I tuck that arm in, look at my entire body start to get into the position that we just talked about. That is a great draw position. And now my right arm is going to want to fire in a way that helps promote that draw. Finally, once you have all that right, when you take the grip, the V's in your hand are going to be in a great position. You're not going to have, if you get that elbow out, you're going to get that V on top, and it's going to be Slice City. So you got to get that thing under to hit that nice draw. So if I get that under, my hands are going to be tilted kind of toward my right shoulder, the V's and my fingers toward the right shoulder, and now my entire body is set up for a consistent shot pattern. I'm going to swing slightly inside out, and because I'm set up in this way, and because my arm is turned the way it is, it actually helps me to release this club face. Look how easy it is for that face to roll on over, to have that face turn on over through contact and square up. So you don't even have to try that hard to get the ball curving back in the right direction. So now let's do it the right way. I did it wrong from head to toe first. I'm going to do it right from head to toe this time, and I guarantee you this ball is going to curve a little from right to left. There we go, perfect. Right back on the flag, started maybe 5 feet right of it, curved just a few feet to the left of it. Couldn't have hit a better draw than that.
If you're looking to get the most out of your club head speed, there's two things that you have to make sure that you're doing. First and foremost is we have to make sure that we're striking it in the sweet spot. We actually have a great graphic here that Ping provided us that shows where the hot spot is on the face. And you're going to notice that the hot spot on the face is actually a little bit toward the toe and a little bit higher on the face. The reason for this is that the toe of the club is moving a little bit faster than the center of the face. It can be moving up to 7% faster. So if I'm swinging this club 100 miles per hour from the center of the face, the toe of my club could be moving 107 miles per hour. Now we don't want to hit it way out here on the toe because then the face will twist and it won't transfer as much energy to the golf ball. So if we go just a little bit toward the toe, that's going to allow you to get a little bit more club head speed, and it's not going to lose that good sweet spot. And we also want to hit it a little bit higher on the face because what that will help you do is reduce the spin on the drive, and that can help you to launch it further as well. So if I hit it a little bit higher on the face, what will happen is this face will actually twist up a little bit, and then the ball, you can kind of imagine it's rolling down the face. That's not really what's happening, but that's what's kind of happening. It's something that's called gear effect. So can you imagine this ball and the club face, it's like a gear system, and it's gearing down the face. Now that's reducing the amount of backspin that's going on the ball, and that's going to help it to carry further and roll out more. Now number two is we want to be hitting up on the ball. We alluded to earlier that hitting it a little bit higher on the face reduces that spin and helps it carry further and roll out more. Well, hitting up on the ball kind of does the same thing. It's almost like hitting a topspin forehand in tennis. If I have a tennis racket here and I'm coming in, I'm hitting up on it, right? And I have my tennis racket kind of angled down, that's going to allow me to get it up over the net and dive when it gets over the net. Now, we don't really want to put topspin on the golf ball, but when we have this sensation when we're hitting the golf ball, that's going to reduce the amount of backspin, and again, that's going to help the ball carry further and roll out more once it hits. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to hit a shot where I try to miss it in the center of the face. I don't try to hit it, I try to miss-hit it. And I'm actually going to try to hit down on it so that we can see the kind of numbers that we're getting. And then I'm going to try to take another swing. I'm going to actually try to swing a little bit slower and see if we can get the ball to go a lot further when we hit the ball more in the center of the face and we actually hit up on it. So here we go. Let's hit one. All right, so that one there, I definitely caught off the heel. I'm using my Dr. Scholl's Odor X foot powder spray here. No endorsement there. We've just found this to be the best one that works to see the marks on the face. So you can clearly see here that strike was on the heel, and you can see my angle of attack was down 1.3. My distance was only 244 on that. If I'm swinging 108 miles per hour, I should be getting about 2.6 yards for every mile per hour that I hit. That can be a little bit more or less depending on the conditions, but general conditions here on the flight scope, 108 miles per hour should yield about 280 total distance. You can see my total distance there was only 244 yards. And my spin was way up because I hit down on it. So what we want to do is we want to get that strike in the center of the face or even a little bit high and on the toe, and we want to get that angle of attack more upward to lower that spin so that way it can carry further and run out further. So let's talk about how we would do that. To get that angle attack higher up on, or get that angle of attack to be more up into the ball, like I said, we want to have that sensation like we are hitting a top spin forehand in tennis. So we want to have that same sensation. A good visual that I like to have is I like to imagine like there's a tee, and you can actually do this on the driving range as well as a drill. I like to imagine that there's a tee in the ground about a foot behind the golf ball and a little bit toward me. Because if I'm swinging this club from the inside, I don't want to visualize that tee away from me. I want to visualize it a little bit more toward me. So about a foot behind the ball and just sticking just barely up out of the ground. Now I want to imagine I'm coming in and I'm clipping that tee out of the ground and then hitting up into the ball. That's going to allow me to get that more upward angle of attack. Now with our setup, what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're playing this ball more forward in my stance. If I'm playing this ball back in my stance, I'm going to tend to want to hit down on it. So I want to play this ball more off of my lead shoulder, and that's going to allow me to more easily have that visual of clipping that tee up behind the ball. I also want to make sure that I'm teeing the ball up high enough. And if I'm just barely teeing it up out of the ground, it's going to be very difficult for me to hit up on it. There's just not enough space underneath the ground. So I like to imagine that about half of the ball, this is probably a little bit more than that, you can even do more than that, but about half of the ball or a little bit more is above the crown of the club. So that's what we want to imagine to allow us to get more up on the ball. We want to make sure that we're keeping our head behind it and we're clipping that tee out of the ground and then hitting up into the ball there. Now to get the strike in the center of the face, you may or may not have issues with this, but there's a good chance that you do if you are feeling vibration in the face. If you're feeling vibration in that handle, you're feeling this handle twist in your hand, there's a good chance you're mishitting it. Now this one, I hit off the heel of the club. You can see my strike was right there. I felt a lot of vibration in the handle when I hit that, and then I also felt like this club was kind of twisting counterclockwise in my hand. For a left-handed golfer, it would be the other way, and for a toe strike, it would be kind of a clockwise feeling. So if you're feeling that, there's a good chance that you're hitting it off center. So I'd get some foot power spray, spray it on the face, and just kind of get a sense for where your tendency is to hit it in the face, and then exaggerate the opposite, right? So let's say your tendency is to hit this heel strike. So what I'd want you to do is to imagine that you're hitting up on the ball here, but you're hitting it on the toe. I'd try to go as extreme on the toe as you can, and if you're still having issues with that, then I would do a drill like placing a ball. If I'm struggling with heel strikes, what I do is I place a ball maybe on the outside of my ball here to make sure that I'm kind of avoiding that ball on the outside and hitting the ball on the inside. It's going to kind of trick your brain a little bit to get that to the inside. And then it'd be the opposite if you were struggling with toe strikes. If you're struggling with toe strikes, you could put a ball on the inside here, and that can kind of trick your brain to force you to kind of get the club more out toward the ball to get that strike more in the center of the face. So a couple tricks that you can do there to make that a little bit easier to get that ball in the center of the face and hit up on it. So let's try to hit this one. Let's try to get this more in the center of the face, and let's try to get more up on the ball, and let's see what kind of numbers we get with that. All right, so that one there I was able to hit solid. As I mentioned, the number one key to getting the most out of your club head speed is hitting the ball more in the sweet spot. As you can see, this one here, almost dead center in the sweet spot. I actually got it a hair toward the toe, which got me just a little bit more speed. Didn't quite get it up on the face very much. I could have lowered my spin a little bit, but I'm very, very happy with that. If you look, club head speed 105, less than it was before, and my distance 278, which is 34 or so more yards. I can't exactly remember how far that one was before, but 30 plus yards of extra distance just by virtue of hitting it more in the center of the face, then also getting my attack angle to be more up on the ball. Last time we were down on the ball a little bit. This one's up on the ball 7.3 degrees. And that got my spin to be around 2,400. That's pretty good. That's about the tour average for RPMs a spin with the driver. Now, I could have got it to be a little bit lower had I hit it a little bit higher on the face, but I'm very, very happy with that 2,400 RPMs a spin. Now, you may have tried a lot of this stuff before. You've tried hitting up on the ball. You know you're hitting it in the center of the face, but you're still not getting the distance that you want out of the driver. If that is the case, most likely is or I can tell you almost with certainty what's going on, is that you're coming down steep in the start of the downswing. This makes it incredibly difficult to get that club to work up into the ball and to also get it in the center of the face. You see, when you're coming down steep, when this club is more in a vertical position, what you're going to tend to do is you're going to either pull these hands to the left, and this club's going to continue to work out that way. And what's going to happen is you're going to tend to hit the ball off the toe, and then you're going to tend to also kind of chop down into the ball when you do that. Now, what some people do, better players who come down steep, will actually tend to make a compensation to get this club to swing more from the inside. And what will happen is they'll stand up, see the hands will move more up like this, and then you'll actually have to flip at the ball, which adds loft, and that kind of takes away the whole point of hitting up on the ball if you're adding a lot of loft. And then what will also happen is you'll tend to move the hands out toward the ball, and you'll tend to hit a lot of heel strikes. So if that sounds like what's going on to you, you're going to want to check out the next bonus video where Clay Ballard, the founder of Top Speed Golf, is going to go over our anti-roll method. In the anti-roll method, we talk about how we want to get this club shallowing out as soon as possible in the start of the downswing. If we can get this club shallow out, get this butt into the club pointing more outside the golf ball, now I don't have to make any compensations. I can get this club to work nicely from the inside and hit up on the ball. I can have a lot of control of this club head through impact and be able to hit that ball more in the center of the face like I did there. So if you want to check out this video, all you have to do is stick around to see the bonus of a preview of it. But if you want to see the whole video, all you have to do is click the iCard that's going to appear up in the top of your screen. Or if you don't see the iCard, no worries, just go below the video and you'll see a link in the description. Play well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,